since everyone has joined. And before we begin, I just want to let everyone know to use the comment section if you have any questions, and we'll bring those one up towards the end of this event. So, thanks everyone for joining. On today's episode of X Talks, we will be discussing Web3 marketing, the ins and outs, and every stuff like that. And just a reminder that we have our own liquidity bootstrap phase going on in Layer1X, where you can earn a decent APR on your stable coins as well as your blue chips. So if you are someone that's interested in that, make sure you jump into our Discord. Cody will go ahead now with questions. So Cody, passing over to you.
Yeah, welcome everybody to, I think this is episode 26 of X Talks. Thanks for being here and listening in. My name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer1X, at Layer1 Blockchain, and I'll be your host for today's episode. For those of you that are returning listeners to the X Talks AMA series, welcome back. And to our new listeners and those that are just joining us, the X Talk series, AMA series, explores both new and existing projects across multiple chains. Our panel style discussion format focuses on the latest in Web3 innovation trends, and including going down a few rabbit holes in Web3 evolution as we move towards a truly decentralized and bridgeless interoperable experience. Before we give some time to our panelists to introduce themselves, I just wanted to remind everybody to mark their calendars for our next AMA that's going to be coming up on the 4th of March at 8 p.m. AWST or 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This should be a good one. It's Web3 Professional Careers and Recruitment. We've invited quite a few different recruiters on. And if you've ever wanted to bring your in real life skills to crypto, now's your chance to talk to some professional crypto recruiters. So that's definitely going to be a good one. So let's dive right in, shall we? Thanks everybody for joining us. That'll be on our panel discussion for today. We are excited to have you. Let's start off by having everybody introduce themselves, and we'll give you 30 seconds to do your elevator pitch.
Anyone or anyone, any specific order, or just jump in?
Just jump in.
Well, I will go ahead and kick things off. My name is Travis. With Vaynar, we are a new L1 that actually just launched our testnet this past week. We've got a few campaigns going on: Galaxy, Velocity, and Ray, with some really exciting things to come with our mainnet and some announcements towards that. We like to say that we are Web3 for the billions in the entertainment space, and really trying to make blockchain the tech layer and kind of take away the noise from the everyday consumer, make it a very, very familiar experience. So thank you so much for having us, and love the topic with marketing.
Hey, Travis, good to see you again, man. I think we've been on a few spaces together in the past. Paul here from Myth. I'm the general manager here. Our CEO, Jason's currently in an airplane, 36,000 feet above sea level, so I'm taking over for him today. Myth, we're GameFi and a digital entertainment platform. We're making our own games. We're onboarding Web3 projects and smaller Web2 projects into the Web3 space. We offer consultancy, we offer building, and yeah, we're just incredibly busy at the moment. We're in discussions with Immutable about forming something special with them, and it's just build right at the moment. And with our TG and everything coming up in the next month or so, so we're just flat out. And as always, looking forward to talk to people in these spaces, because I just find Twitter Spaces amazing ways to connect and learn about new projects. So let's go, folks.
Yeah,
Hi,
jump in. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Julian. I think there's a bit of an echo. Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Coco. I'm from Army of Fortune Metaverse. We're a mobile gaming studio building Web3 integrated mobile games. Our first game is called Army of Tactics. It's an PvP auto battler with a meta game attached to it. It's downloadable now on iOS and Google Play. And then our second game, which will be out in closed beta in a couple of months, I believe, and that is a genre-defining real-time deck building. It's a real-time strategy game, and yeah, we're excited to bring the next billion users into Web3 via mobile games. We're very exclusively focusing on building through the mobile because we really believe that is the piece of tech that was the gateway to crypto and Web3. So yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Sorry.
Go for it.
Got it. All right, cool. My name is Taj, digitally known as Tropic Vibes, and I host NFT Business Show, and I'm also community manager for Nineverse, Kitty Union, and the games that we play and what have you. But one of the cool things that I just love about this space is bridging tech with business, and that's what I speak about, and that's why I'm excited to be here.
Hi guys, my name is Bash. I'm the marketing director of TaskOn. TaskOn is a Web3 task collaboration platform that helps projects with running marketing and operational campaigns. It's also a place for users to earn, so projects can easily run campaigns, promote their brand, acquire new users, grow their community, drive up volume, mint NFTs, manage whitelists, etc. As I said, it's also a platform where our participants get to learn more information about notable projects and the chances to earn with very low threshold. It's a free platform at the moment, and it has a lot of features to collaborate efficiently and better align the mutual interests both of projects and participants. We have around 2.5 million users at the moment, and about 9,600 projects use us.
Hi guys, Andrew Luban here from Pulsar.ai. We're solving discoverability across the ecosystem. Our product is live at www.pulsar.ai. We're launching our PFP March 7th, which gives you access to the site and gives you entitlements to our point system and our token launch, which will launch a week before the Bitcoin halvening. Please go to www.pulsar.ai. Get on the whitelist for your PFP and check out our white paper and core docs to see what we're up to.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben. I lead partner marketing operations for the Scale Network. Scale is a modular layer 1, layer 2 scaling solution built on top of the Ethereum network. And the benefits of Scale are that there are zero gas fees, and near instant finality. So in the past month alone, we've had over 7 million users interacting with the Scale network, saving themselves over $730 million. So excited to be on the space, talk about Web3 marketing, all the good, the bad, the ugly that we see, we've all experienced out here in the Web3 world.
Awesome. I think I'll be closing it off. So we did start the intros with a Travis. We may end it with a Travis. So my name is Travis, and I'm from the Akala Network. So we are the longest running parachain on Polkadot. Our focus is a little different from everybody else here in the space. Our focus is more on DeFi, more specifically liquid staking derivatives. As well, we have the longest standing liquid staking derivative for Polkadot. And we just building our network out, inviting applications that want to launch and use our services. We have everything you need, liquid staking token, DEX, anything you really need if you wanted to launch, especially if it's focused on DeFi. I'm very happy to be here on the space. Previously, I did also work for a Web3 gaming organization, so very happy to hear different points of view on marketing from everybody here in the space. Thanks for having me.
Hello. I think I'm the last speaker. So my name is Julian. I'm the founder of Masma. We're going to be making Web3 known for user experience. We are solving the Web3 onboarding process, or just a simple to use application. So we're actually going to be delivering the first ever Ultra app or everything app. Our platform replaces all SEX platforms, DEX platforms with a whole new genre called a Smart Exchange. And as a joke, we abbreviated as SEX. We replace crypto wallets, social medias, and beyond. So simple that even your grandparents will be trading shitcoins this bull run. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Nick from FlickPlay. We are a Disney Accelerator, Warner Accelerator program company focused on building the future of play via digital toys, partner with Bandai Namco, Pinkfong, MGA, to create digital toys that unlock various experiences. You can bring them to life via the sandbox, other games, augmented reality with our app, and also unlock physical toys and merch via token gated raffles. Launching Digital Brats on March 4th, and extremely excited to talk about marketing and what we're doing to bring Brats fans into Web3 and Web3 fans over to Brats.
Perfect. Thanks everybody for doing your intros. We definitely have a wide variety of different aspects of this coming into this discussion, so it should be a good one. For those of you that are just tuning in, my name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X, and I'm your host for this episode of X Talks. If you haven't, please retweet this episode on Spaces. We'd appreciate the love. Likewise, if you haven't followed our X Talks handle, please give that a follow to stay up to date on all upcoming episodes, news, and more. If you do that, I'd love you guys forever. We'd greatly appreciate it. So let's just jump right in. Today's topic, as you can tell by the title, is definitely going to be a good one. I feel like with it being the wild, wild west of crypto, still being labeled that, I feel like I need some sort of Clint Eastwood transition music into our questions, but I'll save you guys the boredom on that. But let's just jump right in then with the first question. So can projects with different use cases find ways to collaborate on marketing, potentially reaching wider audiences while driving adoption for both? Feel free to jump in if you want to pipe in.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think the answer is obvious, yes. And I think as an industry as a whole, we all share the burden of marketing to the Web2 folks who still don't understand a lot of the core use cases. I think one of the biggest things we can do is just explain the capacity to read, write, and own the entire value stack of how you engage online. I think that end user value pathway is something that all of us in this room and in this conversation have a vested interest in sharing with the wider audience.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think I also have to agree. And something that really has struck me in my journey building in this space is that it's absolutely a necessity to really collab with different experts in the space, because we're in such a new space where we're always kind of coming across new paradigms, new tech, and each builder in this space is developing their sort of lane of expertise. So, for example, in a company like ours, we're building mobile games, and internally, we're very much experts in that particular niche. But then, as we branch out and build out our Web3 experience and different elements there, it's actually sometimes a great opportunity to not only partner and work with teams that actually really know specific sub niches. For example, I'll give you an example. If you're building a marketplace, you're a game, you don't want to spend time figuring out the challenges of marketplace, especially if it's a very short project where you just need it, you want it up and running, and that adds value to your players. But you could try and do it yourself, but then you kind of, especially in a space like this, run into a number of risks that you weren't the expert for. Another great example, I think, is when you launch an NFT. We work with Exterio, for example, and I've seen people try and do it in-house, and you can do it, can be done, but also sometimes it's nicer to work with people who really know their niche within the space. And you can really complement each other and then tap into each other's communities. I think building relationships in this space is really critical to growth of your own company.
Yeah, I think as well. It's like one of the cool things as well is like it's the old Three Musketeers reference. It's like all for one and one for all. It's very important to find your partners and to, shall we say, so, and not just have a partner in kind of name only. You see a lot of places and they pop out a banner or an announcement saying they're working with so and so and they're doing with so and so and whatever. But is there actually real day-on-day hands-on collaboration? And I think that's very important, that if you do get lucky enough to come across another company or another project who can do something for you, that you can then do something back for them, like reciprocate it fully, and just keep that spirit together working. Like we're lucky enough that we work with some major partners in the space, but also we have some smaller ones who are developing things, as Coco said, like a marketplace, and they're unheard of, but they're incredibly talented. And through our mutual networks, we've got them funding as well. So I mean, so they can build out their business, and that's the whole point, is that we all sort of grow together as one big team.
Yeah, just
I think that is. I'm sorry.
A great example I like to tell people when I'm comparing marketing and Web3, just going off of Andrew's, like, read, write, own. These are terms that, like, you kind of need experience and you need analogies to kind of understand such things. So I like to kind of throw to people and say, comparing Amazon versus, I don't know, let's just use the latest example, Jupiter. Airdrops could be seen as like discounts, right? We all use discounts to acquire new users onto the platform, except airdrops are kind of a little bit something different. And going back to what Myth said, something reciprocated. So I usually say, imagine you go on Amazon, right? Amazon just came out and you spent $1,000 on Amazon buying their products. You're commenting on all you're providing your reviews every time you buy a product back onto Amazon, which provides them value. And now Amazon, right, is able to see how much money you spent on the platform, how much time you've spent, how much you've actually engaged with the platform. And now this is Amazon pre-IPO, right? They're still a private company. There's no shares, there's no nothing. And as a goodwill gesture, right, when they do IPO, right, they go to the New York Stock Exchange or whatever, an airdrop basically is them being able to distribute shares to all of the users, right? They say, I want to distribute 10% of the stock of these stocks to all of our amazing users that have got Amazon to this point, right? That's something that's never been possible before. It'd be impossible to calculate all that, and then how do you give someone shares? It's really, you can't, right? Unless you actually get the physical piece of paper. And plus, there's not enough other systems or databases to actually hold a digitalized version of that. So then it's, hey, you spend $1,000. There's a bunch of people that are going to distribute 5% of shares. They're going to give you a proportionate amount of shares based on what you spent. Boom. Now tomorrow morning, you got I don't know, you could have got $2,000 worth of maybe you spent $1,000, you get $500 worth of Amazon shares, and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing, right? And you feel that the company really cares about, and it's the same thing as like a discount, it's like a 50% off. Basically, you're getting your money back, but that's not the main point. But now, if you think about it, you're going to be more you're going to be loving Amazon more. You're going to be like, wait, man, you know what? I actually spend all my time on Amazon because they care about me as a person. I can now contribute into the company, right? Because I got shares, maybe there's some voting rights. In Web3, it's a little bit different. The tokens have more utility than a share, right? It can be used to be spent on the platform. It could be used as a maybe I want to, there's some decisions that the company wants for all of the stock traders to actually, all the stockholders to actually participate in a decision, and yada yada yada. So that's kind of a great way, I think, to introduce, start talking about these analogies to Web3, so people can kind of see like, oh wow, this world where Web3 is going is a whole new civilization, whole new phase of society. Whereas like we have all these new things. Imagine, and this is a great example. Imagine when you first walked into stocks, and then you heard about like a 3-to-1 split. And you're like, what the f is that, right? And then you see on the stock, you see on the like right now, I think it was Facebook, no, Walmart or something. Yeah, Walmart. Like did like a 3-to-1 split. The chart goes down 60%, and you're like, oh my god, like this is nuts. Well, unless you actually know that there's a 3-to-1 split, right? There's a learning curve to everything.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that one. Tropic, I think you've been trying to unmute and jump in. Go for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the cool things with collaboration and working with various brands and companies within this space is that we have the ability to cross-pollinate audiences that probably wouldn't necessarily find each other otherwise. It's very niche. A lot of things that we're doing, we have our DeFi pockets, and within DeFi, there's, very niche. Then you have your various NFT communities that have all sorts of different interests and so forth. But one of the examples that I like to use is that like we think everything within Web3, within this space, is brand new to what we're doing and unique to what we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's like businesses are businesses and people are people. And there's always going to be that need for interaction and cross-pollination. And probably the best example that I could, like a broad niche, not niche, mass market example would be what just happened a few months ago or over the last few months with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce with the NFL, right? If you're a football fan, such as myself, hardcore football fan, I probably couldn't name that many Taylor Swift songs, even though I like her. I have no problem with Taylor Swift. You had this huge pollination of this massive, larger than life pop star coming in with the audience of the NFL. Now, some people say they absolutely hate it, but at the same time, there were so many Taylor Swift fans that were watching Chief games, and the NFL, the Super Bowl had massive numbers and way interest of casual fans coming into the space that it benefited the overall NFL picture. So, hardcore purists like myself who are going to watch every single practice and training camp and all that stuff might have an issue with it, but it's a win-win for everybody because it made that audience bigger, that sport bigger, the pie bigger, if you will. And so when it comes to Web3 and these cross-pollinations and things, sometimes it's complementary brands where you have like a wallet guard doing all of these safety workshops with various NFT communities and projects. Obviously, they're interacting with the blockchain, so they're going to need safety. But it could be something completely random and unrelated in a way, like how we just saw Taylor Swift's audience with the NFL. Like they just seemed, so polar, but at the same time, there was a bridge and they were able to do that. So I think that's one of the good things about this space is that we don't have to reinvent everything per se. It's like marketing is marketing, people are people, and these collaborations and things are going to leverage and build success in the same way. So that's what I just want to just kind of use that as a, I guess you'd say, very recent visual example.
No, that's a good example. It's all part of the script, right? Wink, wink. Sebash, I think you're trying to raise your hand. Go for it.
Hi guys. Yeah, as I said, I'm from a kind of marketing platform. So Taskon is a Web3 collaboration platform. Like as I think Tropic touched as well, that's the kind of reach and audience within Web3 is quite limited at the moment as well. So with regards to cross-pollination and working together, it's vitally important that we all help each other hand in hand to grow the kind of space and also onboard each other onto different projects as well. I'll take, for instance, our campaign that just ended 2 days ago. We had 68 projects in there, from guys from 1inch, Quick Swap, all the way to something like Carbon Browser. To I don't know, it's quite diverse, from GameFi, DeFi, SocialFi, etc. All into one campaign. So everyone's helping each other, gain an audience, I think altogether it was over 1.2 million or nearly 1.3 million participants within there, and you can see cross pollination of different of different projects, their audiences going and learning about other projects as well. So in this space, it's vitally important that we kind of work together as well. Even if a project is unrelated, there is somebody in that audience that will be willing to actually have a look at your project as well. As I said, we saw this in our recent Valentine's Day campaign. There was 50,000 USD up for grabs, and you just see nearly I got it right now, 1.29 million participants in that campaign with 68 projects.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's pause here for just a minute. We're about halfway through. So for those of you that are just joining, my name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X and today's host. We are joined by quite a few experts in sharing their insights, tips, and knowledge of mastering Web3 marketing. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's been a great discussion so far, so thanks for joining us. If you happen to have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments below. Sam, our co-host, will grab those for us, and we'll present those to our panelists in the back half of this next half hour. So moving on, let's kind of get down and dirty with this a little bit. I do have to preface this. This is a safe zone. Keep it safe. With this question, it can get pretty ugly. But let's kind of keep it on the up and up, more on a positive note. But let's talk about the less glamorous side of Web3 marketing. What are the most common disastrous marketing mistakes made by projects, individuals, or the mainstream media when it comes to promoting crypto? And how can we learn from these missteps and avoid them in the future?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just over-promising and under-delivering, right? You need to do the reverse. I think there's a temptation because of token launches to say, when we launch the token, that's going to give you X, Y, Z. But the reality is you need to build utility, you need to have real use cases, and you need to under-promise and over-deliver. I think because crypto moves so fast and because the capacity to get a token, to launch token, and to get high returns quickly on a hype cycle is something that exists in the space. But ultimately, to build something sustainable and long-term with value, you need to manage expectations a bit. And I don't know that any team really has done a fantastic job of that, but I think those who want to be in the space for the long term need to think with a longer time horizon. And that's very difficult to do because the financial incentives and a quick return are very fast in crypto in general.
Coco, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really tough challenge actually to balance in the Web3 space. And I think if anybody was recently following AOF First, there's something that we've kind of internally had to deal with very recently. And I think one of the major learnings, aside from expectation, which is absolutely one thing, but it's also about the ability to be able to be ready to change your plans with the changing of times. So to give again a concrete example, when we at AOF First were planning our free mint, we were coming off the back of, basically at the end of this bear, we had almost the lowest investments in VCs. It was a tough market. And we were going off some case studies that we were, kind of using as benchmarks. But again, with a benchmark of a bear market. Now, when we launched it, it went far, far beyond our expectations. And I think that's when sort of the alarm bells started ringing about how do we manage expectations? And really what the biggest failure, I think I can openly say, is that we just could not agree internally with a lot of stakeholders what the new plan should be. And so it's incredibly challenging when you're working with different stakeholders. But when you sort of embark on a big campaign, it's almost like map out the worst case scenario and understand how you're going to deal with it, and then be 100% on the same page with every single move. Otherwise, the narrative will be 100% taken away from you. And yeah, if anybody ever wants to speak about our experience in private, I'm more than happy to share some more of our learnings.
Yeah, I think that's a general marketing basic 101 is everything that you do in marketing has to have a rhyme or a reason behind it, right? Because there are ripple effects, there are long-term or long-tail repercussions for some of these marketing tactics that are being used. So totally agree with you on that one. Benjamin, I think you had your hand up first.
Yeah, and this is a great question because there's a million different ways for marketing to fail or to not hit the mark. And some of the things that I've seen is chasing the short term, what's hot at the moment instead of sticking, not necessarily even sticking to the script, but because we need to have that flexibility to adapt in this market. But chasing whatever the short-term narrative at the expense of what your long-term vision is. If you try and launch a points program because you see that points programs are hot right now, but you don't really have anything that this points program is built for, you're throwing marketing budget, your marketing spend at something, but you don't have any plans to activate after that. Or if you're going to you want to run an airdrop or you want to run any sort of campaign, but you don't actually have anything behind it, but it's because you see what the narrative in Web3 is at the moment. Ultimately, you're just going to get caught up in this endless cycle of chasing whatever the current short-term narrative is, what the short-term goals are, without any long-term vision that is going to lead you to never really establish that strong community, a community that understands what you're actually trying to accomplish and what you're building for. And it's going to be very fleeting. The attention is constantly going to be short-sighted, and you're going to be constantly seeking out that short-term attention span of the Web3 flighty community instead of necessarily the long-term supporters and the ones that are invested into what you're actually doing.
What's so frustrating about that, Benjamin, too, is that you'll just see left and right different competitors just jumping on the latest trend, and then they'll be the talk of the timeline for a week, and then the new trend happens, and then they jump onto that, and then they're talk of the timeline for the week again, and then just like accumulating that over and over, superficial trend hopping, and then when new users do come into Web3 and then they ask, hey, where should I look? People are going to say, oh yeah, look at this one because they've been the talk of the timeline for so long. And it's like that Breaking Bad meme. It's like, he can't keep getting away with it. Like when you see those competitors just always hopping on the latest trend, rather than providing value for the community or really like growing and creating stuff that is significant for the macro community. They're just focusing on the superficial, and yet they're taking all the timeline space, making claims that they can't back, and the attention span and the memory is so short of the space that it's just like it seems like there's no end in sight. So it almost is so frustrating to quote unquote be the good guys or to do it by the book, which I think is becoming a theme, honestly, in the world, or at least in America today. But yeah, I think it's important, like you said, to just make sure that you continue staying true to your brand, building out that narrative that can last 10, 15 years rather than a few months that Web2 consumers coming in will be able to see through, or VCs will be able to see through. Just echoing that and Andrew's point as well.
Yeah, great point. Let's go with Flus.
Hey guys, good afternoon. I mean, Benjamin and King just nailed it 100%. We went through exactly same experience. We compromised our long vision of Bitcoin and crypto being an enabler for communities where we think they should thrive, like Lebanon, Iraq, Egypt, Middle East in general. And yeah, we went for the short-term gains. Spent a lot of marketing on the wrong time, and yeah, now we're paying for it. But I don't want to say it's a lesson learned because we knew that at that time. It's just you get caught up in the hype, and plus there is the team dynamics that play as well. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with part of the team saying, yeah, we don't want to spend on marketing now, and then the other part of the team saying, yeah, we should spend on marketing now. And on top of that, I wanted to point to these scams as well that happen. We went through, so part of you're saying share your experiences. We had an experience with a pretty relatively known marketing firm, but actually it was a deep fake conversation. And luckily it didn't result in a payment, but we were like approximately 90% going to make the payment for them. And this is a very growing concern, especially when Bitcoin hits $57,000. It's all over the news. Then it seems like the scam and this malicious activity spikes up.
Oh, so true. So true. You hear about those kind of scams going on all the time. Yeah, definitely there with you on that one. Let's go with Tropic. I think you had your hand up next.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that we have with communication and marketing and sharing what's going on in this space is a lot of people think it's a zero-sum game, meaning that like you have to gain and win by taking from someone else, and it's either like Talladega Nights, that movie. When Ricky Bobby's dad is saying it's either you're the winner or loser, whatever exactly the quote is, but it's like there's winning and losing, like there's no in between, right? And a lot of people think that, right, when it comes to they're speaking about their chain, their particular game, their coin, and so forth, whatever it is. I've heard some people say if you're building a Web3 game and it can't beat Grand Theft Auto, it can't beat Fortnite and these massive billion-dollar games, and don't build it. Yet we're still playing games like Angry Birds and all these silly things and Sudoku and whatever else, right? And that's not competing with Grand Theft Auto and all that. But then at the same time, it's like when you speak about various chains, especially when new chains launch, it's either the Ethereum killer, the Solana killer, the whatever killer, right? All these different things come up, and it's like, all right, we're taking an already very small market, very few people, relatively speaking to the population, are interested in this stuff. Then we're going to fragment them and then set them against each other, rather than saying, okay, cool, let's leverage what all these things work and how we can do this. But then it's like, no, I feel like if that project or that group or that team is having success, somehow it's a detriment to me, rather than saying, okay, let me learn from what they're doing and then let me go out there and try to replicate some of that or build my own audience or look at their failures and add on to that. But it's more so, let's throw stones in a glass house and then, it all falls apart. And then everyone's sitting on the sidelines thinking like, man, that didn't go well. It's like, well, yeah, obviously that doesn't work anywhere else. And even just really quick, how we opened up this segment was like, well, let's keep it family friendly and corporate friendly. Like a lot of the times these businesses, they're communicating this stuff in a way that's like not even palatable to anyone that wants to speak about legitimate businesses, right? You can't just start dropping F-bombs and throwing all sorts of different things. If that's your specific niche and market, okay, cool. But if you're trying to bring this to the mainstream and say, hey, this is how this stuff can help businesses and so forth, and this is great, this technology is awesome, it really solves real problems, then you have that narrative clashing with it. It just makes it an uphill battle, very hard to cross. And it's not always us against them. It's how can we just help people with this technology? Because right now I've even heard people saying they're building this Web3 version of Google Maps that's going to put them out of business. Well, if there's billion-dollar companies, trillion-dollar companies that are trying to compete with a free Google Maps and they're failing, what do you think like we in the small pocket that's like chasing around various coins and what have you, is going to somehow beat out Google Maps. Now, that might seem like a pessimistic thing, but at the same time, too, it just goes back to what I just said initially. It's not a zero-sum game where it's like, for this thing to succeed, Google, Microsoft, and all these big companies have to fail. Like, no, we're solving a problem in a niche, and then we're going to market this and communicate this in a way that resonates with whoever is going to use this. Whatever benefit we're trying to communicate, that's what marketing is at the end of the day, trying to communicate that benefit. And you don't have to throw stones to do that. And I think a lot of teams just have no clue of that. And I'm not throwing stones at anyone in particular. And even like the holders or the community members that go out and represent those brands, then it reflects poorly on the team that doesn't even have any control over their community, but their community goes out there and makes people hate the team based on how they're presenting it. So it's an interesting one.
No, 100%, 100%. Thanks. That's a great insight for bringing into the discussion. Appreciate it. Sebash, you had your hand up next.
Hi, yeah, I think Tropic actually touched on something very important, which is community building. And we can see the success of Web3 projects often hinge on the strength and engagement of their communities. Failing to kind of build and nurture your communities can obviously lead to a lack of interest in the projects and projects falling off or losing support. And obviously listening to them gives you analytics as well. So analytics and feedback is directly important when you're actually tracking the progress of your marketing campaigns, or even ignoring kind of feedback from your community can hinder the growth of your Web3 projects. We've seen many projects actually lose the community and then lose their kind of project, or their project kind of fails. And analytics and community feedback are invaluable for kind of refining your strategy and improving your engagement as well. But I think somebody touched on we need to kind of keep marketing as simple as possible. So that's kind of the third thing. The third thing I want to say is we can't overuse jargon or technical jargon with regards to Web3. The community is still small as it is, and using these complex words or complex jargon is actually intimidating for newcomers as well. They say, what is this? Like, they don't have the time to go and explore and educate themselves as well. So we need to ensure that we need to keep concepts clear and simple when we do marketing. And obviously over-reliance on it can kind of, yes, we need to find that kind of, strike that balance, I think, between the tech savvy guys that actually understand what's going on and the general public, because the general public isn't in Web3 at the moment. They're still kind of Web2 natives. So understanding that is vitally important, because we're not only competing against other Web3 companies, you're competing against Web2 and Web3. And ensuring that you need to ensure that your branding and your kind of messaging is simple and it's consistent, because any inconsistency with regards to your branding is you're gonna find that your brand is actually kind of losing recognition or even trust as well. And where trust is vital in community building in Web3, and if you kind of lose your trust of your community, you'll see your project kind of fail.
100%. Definitely agree with it. Nailing down that narrative is vital to getting your message out there. Myth, you were up next, and then we'll go to Coco and then Akela.
Super. Yeah, I just want to touch quickly there. I mean, Subash covered one of the things that I was going to say myself about community. You know, it's like I used to work for a well-known sort of name in the GameFi space before joining Myth, and you know, it was built on the back of a strong community. It got to where it did. It had $1 billion market cap at the end of the last bull run, but all of a sudden, because again, as said at the very beginning of this, overhyped and underdelivered, you know, the community got restless. And then it was like, okay, and when the community started asking pertinent questions about how things were run, then all of a sudden that company just started banning people and shutting people down. So then there's a lack of, you know, when it comes to marketing, because we're a small space, we're reliant predominantly on word of mouth. So when that word of mouth starts to dry up, then your project is doomed to struggle a bit. So ultimately, it's important to, I think, as marketing, it's very important to listen to all sorts of feedback, whether it's your OGs, whether it's new players coming in who have experience in the areas you might be struggling in, or again, if you spend the money on a marketing team, listen to what they have to say. Because again, that happened as well. There was money spent in marketing, but when the advice was given, it wasn't listened to because it didn't suit the needs of somebody. So it was like, it's very important to listen to the right people. Don't shut out. Learn how to filter out what is negative and what is constructive, because there's a big difference between the two in terms of feedback. And I think as we're a very new space, and there's still a lot of human nature and human emotion involved, it's important that just to realize what is important and just move on from there with it. And I think it's just, the main thing is just listen attentively.
Coco, go for it.
Myth. I really, really resonated with what you're saying, and and absolutely, it's about not only listening to your community, but listening to the experts when if you're going to hire someone to come in and help you with marketing, especially I think if you're come from traditional space and maybe you're dipping your toes into Web3, it's not just a tech can not only be overwhelming from a tech point of view, but it's overwhelming from a cultural point of view, and navigating and realizing that word of mouth is everything, especially in this small space. And actually wanted to touch upon the fact that actually listening to the right people can also be hard, because I think somebody mentioned before that there are a lot of people who don't have your best intentions at heart, and also don't have your long-term needs at heart, right? So it is a difficult space to navigate, because, and this is what I actually originally wanted to mention, but it's kind of touches on an older point we were talking about, so the darker side of the marketing space is we do have this sort of phenomenon where we have this like project is talk of the town for like a month or maximum 2, but the challenge is it's kind of the game that you get to a point in a project's lifespan where you may have to play that game. And again, to speak from experience on our side, that a lot of things went wrong and later down the line, due to obviously what I mentioned before. But what it did do for us is achieve a lot of things in terms of that we were struggling with before. So, lockdown partnership, it locked down investments, it got us on the map when it came to securing and exchanges. And all those people that, originally were asking us, who are you? What are you about? Were knocking down our doors to work with us. And so I think if done in the right way, it does have value to leverage the space instead of trying to, I guess, fight it. Sometimes play the game, but obviously, as many have said, like in the right way, and not messing it up.
Coco, can I ask real quick your thoughts on finding the right experts in Web3? Because I've totally seen it both ways, to your point, where it's like you hire someone and they know exactly what they're doing and they'll lead you in the right directions, and then you'll hire another person and they're just trying to hold on and get paid for as long as they can following like YouTube tutorials. So definitely a challenge that I think we all have faced when coming across bringing on the right team. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that real quick before we go to Akela.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. And I think it comes down to consistency, and that takes time, right? So having worked with numerous people in the space, I think I find that over time, you'll find out whether or not their intentions and their support was real or their advice was right. And then that's why I think reputation of an individual or a company is so important. Because if you give advice that kind of flops on its face, you'll be, and it wasn't genuine, and it wasn't you'll be found out eventually. So because you only have your reputation to ride on. in this space, and people know who's doing what quite quickly. And so I think, if you're an agency, I want to see how you conduct yourself in the hardest times, not just when it's good. And I think that's kind of one of my biggest learnings.
I'll kind of tag on to that as well to answer your question. Being a two-time agency in the traditional space, agency owner and founder, the biggest thing that I have found over the years is that it really boils down to finding an agency or a person that fully understands what it is that you are building and that what you are trying to communicate. Because a lot of times that is the biggest failure, is not having somebody on your team that fully understands what you're doing or where you're headed. And that's where you get those people that are going to be like you mentioned, just holding on just to get a paycheck type of thing versus people that are fully invested or having an agency that's fully invested to see you to across the finish line. So, Kayla, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, my point was going to be very similar to Coco, so I'd love to add on it. I think when marketing comes, I think in general, but also specifically in Web3, since we are so small, it really depends on the state or the stage of the project. If it's an early project that's looking for funding, they probably have to ride the narrative, to get looks, to even get recognized, to potentially get some sort of community, maybe get to the first, 20,000 followers, 50,000 followers. You probably do have to ride the narrative. Where it turns bad and even potentially ugly is once you've established yourself, or once the project has established itself and has secured some runway, if they're continuing chasing the narrative. That is where the real the good guy has to come out, where hopefully your product can keep the community and then grow the community, so that you can carry forward. And that's a tough transition, because at first you're kind of preaching the next best thing, the flashiest, no faults, nothing. And if you don't transition to, hey, look, we're in crypto, there could be issues, nothing's safe, smart contract risk, all those stuff are not flashy, fun things to say. And it's something that at some point needs to be addressed in case something happens, because then that hype can turn really, really quick off of you and onto something else. And then, there's angry customers and all that stuff. So I think, really just transitioning, knowing the stage or the state of your project and how to move forward, also changing your marketing accordingly can prevent it from going bad and ugly if you've started it off pretty good.
Totally agree with you on that one. Yeah, great comments. I have two more questions, but before we go to them, let's kind of finish this one up with Julian.
Yeah, I wanted to go macro a little bit, right? We're talking about a lot of micro things. And it's first to realize that, right now we're all still early adopters, and that we're all testing new things. That's why we're seeing a new hype come out every single day. Like, we're testing, right? We're figuring it out. And then one day, there's going to be PhD courses on this. They're going to create frameworks, right? Just as how it's the way of the times. Prior social media, there was no such thing as SMMAs, right? We now have to live that. We literally have to think. We all know that we need to do that, right? We need to make posts. We need to make blah 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 blah, right? That's just the way it goes. And now we have to adapt again, right? So the same way I was talking about how traditional stocks have way more utility as a token, right? The same thing with marketing, right? We're thinking traditional marketing, which is why basically trad marketing. We only think of a few ways. We spend a lot of our money in Google ads, Facebook ads, blah blah blah, right? It's a very we all know this. Like, we're all kind of kind of experts in that space, but we're all novices in this new space, right? Instead of spending marketing dollars in the traditional way, which is literally all that money goes to Google, right? All of it goes to Facebook, is now that all the money that we put into marketing in Web3 doesn't really go to Google anymore. It doesn't go to Facebook anymore. It goes to the people. It goes to the markets, right? And that's how we're talking about points and all this blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, like any other marketing company, our job is to get the product to be used and actually make money. There's a CAC, right? I spend $1 in this. I want to make $2 back, right? But the thing is, in Web3, it gets more confiscated, right? It's like you're in the fog of war. It's a lot more complicated, and so that can also be very dangerous, right? Because you're going to spend a lot of money, and just like how Flus was talking about, we went down this road, we knew not to go down this road, and now we're paying for it, right? Because in Web3, everything is lasting. Your token lasts forever. Everything's on chain, so it's much more detrimental to you. So we're all just shooting shit to kind of chase the here and this, but we're all amateurs right now, right? You're going to get to a stage where you're going to have PhD Web3 marketing and as stakeholders are like, no, we're not going to do this because X, Y, and Z. There's ramifications to this shit, right? We at the end of the day, as running any type of marketing, we have to always make sure at how is this making our product better, right? How is it is for example, Jupiter, they ran their airdrop. You have to use the Jupiter platform, right? So same thing with what we're doing. We're going to be doing a fair launch. We're going to be launching 8 airdrops, 5% each every quarter. But you have to. We went through this whole strategy where the user has to use the platform, and then that's why you would use art because you're going to be competing now. You're competing for attention. Where people want to take money, but those people are going to come take your money. But as long as you've marketing, there's a branding, there's awareness, blah 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 blah. They're using your product, and they stay. They're like, you know what? Actually, I like this product, right? And now your points, your airdrop has been well spent, right? You do not want it just to get attention if no plan moving forward, because everything is merged now. Literally in marketing now, it's like branding, marketing, product, tech, finance. It's all merged in one experience, which is why it's so complicated. And if you look and just look about like a sci-fi movie, they're all in spaceships. Literally by the time they're 12, they're out there PhDs, right? And it's just the same thing with humanity. Like we will have to get smarter and smarter and smarter to use these technologies. And so right now we want to be cautious, especially if you want to last up to the 10 years. Is that you got to play, listen, and then make an action plan to move forward. But keep in mind that we're all still new.
Yeah, great insight. Thanks, Julian, for stating that, because that's definitely a good perspective to come at. Which also kind of tees up my next question is, how can projects go beyond the transactional relationships with KOLs and influencers and create a sustainable long-term collaboration that'll benefit their ecosystem as a whole?
Yeah, we're working on this right now with Bolster. I think one thing you can do is use your token lockup mechanism. So, for example, if you want to use an influencer and allocate them a certain amount of tokens, just making sure that their incentive to hold the token past a certain point, basically in the same way that traditional companies had a chief influence officer and brought them on and gave them real equity. The same thing with tokens. You'd use the same mechanism, although the piece that's important is just maintaining that the vesting schedule or the capacity before they're able to sell is aligned with your community as well.
Yeah, I echo, some sort of lockup mechanism. It turns them from, that short-term transactional relationship to, a long-term or even a medium-term, holder, part of the community. They're invested now. I'll also add, for us with Scale, because we're an ecosystem, a lot of the work that I do with different KOLs and influencers in the space is not only work with them directly with Scale, but also work with the different projects and dApps within the ecosystem to get an understanding of what their needs and also an understanding of what types of projects KOLs like to work with and influencers like to work with, and facilitate those introductions. So it becomes less of, hey, I'm paying you to work and promote Scale, but now I'm also understanding what types of projects or games or dApps you yourself like to enjoy and promote, and I'm going to try and connect you with projects that have similar ethos and values that you do, so that it becomes this natural fit where now you're working with all sorts of other projects. Within the ecosystem is all prospering because they're getting to work with these experts, and they're working not just because they're getting paid to work on it, but because they're also it's a shared belief and a common ground that they also have as well.
Totally. Let's go with Kayla and then Tropic.
Yeah, no, I think what Benjamin mentioned is really valid. So, on my personal account, I am actually a micro influencer for different Web3 projects, specifically games. And so, speaking from my experience, finding the right fit is extremely important. I get offered from, for example, some games that I'm like, well, I really don't play this type of game, so I don't want to promote this to my community. But I know others that were like, well, hey, it's a quick buck. Let me just promote it, cash out, and I'm good. So having somewhat of a vesting schedule could work, though I don't think tokens are at the point where it really represents the value generated from the protocol, the game. I think we're getting there, especially with like Uniswap's new proposal for that, all that jazz going on, if anyone's following that. But for at the moment, I think what's best is to kind of have performance-based awards or rewards. And if an influencer is not open to pitching into a performance-based reward, they're probably not that interested in your project to begin with. So that's just from my point of view as being on the other side, but also recruiting, for different projects as well.
Hello?
Go for it. Yeah, go
Okay,
for
that's
it.
somebody else about to go. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, first of all, obviously I'm not like a Gary Vee or somebody who's just like well known everywhere, right? However, the things that I speak about, even on the podcast or anything that I do, is actually I don't charge it, for it. I speak about things that I find genuinely interesting to the avatar that I carved out for my specific audience. And I think aligning yourself with an influencer, KOL, creator, whatever it is that it is that's actually interested in that specific thing, they're aligned with the values of that particular project or what you're trying to build, is more sustainable long term. Otherwise, you're just chasing mercenaries that are just, as we spoke about, running from hype to hype, just trying to go from the next popular thing to catch the news cycle. And a lot of the times, even people that I know that create just beautiful things, they create things most times, believe it or not, for free, like the best ones that I see. And the reason why they do that is because they somehow align with whatever is being built. And then in the long term, they're building up social equity within the space because this is a very small space. Everyone knows each other. So the door opens up by the things that we do and the connections. How I even came on the team of this particular project with Nineverse, it was literally, I was trying to make some content for them for free. Like, it had nothing to do with me trying to get paid. And people recommended me through the grapevine, and how I fall into various different things, speaking engagements and so forth. It's because of just social equity in the space. So I think brands and companies just lining with people that see that vision that you're building out, and you don't necessarily have to throw money at them. Believe it or not, one thing I learned from running traditional brick and mortar businesses, a lot of time people are more motivated by giving them a little title or a little responsibility within a specific area. Like you say, hey, you are responsible for the bread aisle. Make sure the bread shelf is okay. You're the manager of bread. And people care more about that than they care about the money. So I think understanding that as a business, when you're trying to motivate people to create things for them and do things, I think is just beneficial. And that goes into psychology. And that's what marketing too is, in the sense that we're trying to understand what motivates people to take action. And it's not always money, tokens, airdrops, and all those different things.
It's like a sick bar in a rap song, like I'm the manager of bread. Um, but no, I think that the mercenary point that you were bringing up is very true, right? You gotta get people who are one passionate about what you're building and aligned with it, either excited or it aligns with their own brand, which hopefully they're excited about their own brand. Um, I mean, for example, when partnering with various companies or projects for our our Bratz launch, we're saying, hey, we've got this premium IP that has very limited exposure to Web3 so far. How would you like to, bring that to what you're doing, right, through a sub license? And and they're excited because they want to make their own project, better and more, I guess, viewable, for lack of a better word. And then for like influencers and people that we're trying to do grassroots marketing with, it's a matter of, okay, well, we want you to succeed, we want you to push forward, and we want to reward you. So we're doing like revenue share, right? People that use their personalized code and buy digital toys with them, whether it is the Brats or existing IP or future IP that we're coming out with. We'll be rewarding them for activating their community rather than just like paying them upfront for something that their heart isn't in. And we've noticed that the people that we were talking to just to gain feedback in the first place, when we told them that this is what we're thinking about, this is the project that we're thinking about doing, or the effort that we're thinking about doing, them getting super excited and taking our calls or answering emails, letting us know, oh, who's the most popular dolls in this collection? Which are the most popular outfits? Like, what was your first ever Bratz doll? What do you think about this type of giveaway or that type of call to action? Like getting all that information, and when they're like super excited and happy because it's just a brand that they've grown up loving, they actually end up having like the best rates on the VIP ambassador program. Like they end up activating the most people because being yourself on the timeline is the best way to grow as a KOL in the space, or just as an influencer or community manager in the space. Being your genuine self gets you to align with people similar to you. And so when we get people who are then genuine selves and they're genuinely excited about what we're building, it's a match made in heaven. So doing that rather than just like searching for a random marketing agency or a random influencer, I think goes a long way for sure.
Oh, agreed. Sebash, you have your hand up. Let's go with you.
Yeah, I think when we're looking at working with KOLs, we need to look at what Web2 have done before and use that kind of learning. We need to kind of engage with KOLs that have the same values as your project, the same kind of audience as your project. That engagement, you can look at the KOL. Yes, we know they buy impressions, we know they buy likes, we know they buy retweets, and to overcome that, you can actually leverage like projects like ourselves, where we have a KOL distribution system where you can tier rewards to the actual work that they do, and then obviously they get rewarded for that. But you also have to realize that KOLs are the paid KOLs, I'd say, aren't the only kind of initiative. I think the best way to mobilize a KOL is from within your own community. You look at the guys that are in your community the most active. They actually they're part of your community. They tell the story better than any KOL can do. Yes, you are going for reach when you're using a KOL, but when you're going for actual generating real content, look within your own community and utilize those guys within your community, because they can grow and tell your message faster than an actual KOL can in an actual full environment.
Oh, totally agree with you on that one. Getting your current community engaged is definitely going to be key for a lot of startups that are definitely bootstrapping their marketing budgets and things like that. So yeah, 100% agree. One of the last questions that I have here is, since crypto is still considered the Wild West, what are the key emotional triggers that drive people to invest in crypto projects? Is it possible for projects to ethically leverage these without manipulation? And if so, should crypto marketers be held accountable if they don't?
Yeah, I think speculation drives a lot of the industry, right? Number go up is a very powerful tool. I think to not use the speculation and the speculative elements of a project kind of misses the mark of what token innovation does, right? It allows if done right, it allows the early community members, early investors, the people who believed in your project, your whatever your business before anyone else, they really realistically should be rewarded. And the fundamental unlock of putting a token first allows those people to adequately capture that value. So speculation kind of gets a bad rap on occasion, but it does drive a lot of inflows. It's a huge driver of people coming into this space. And two, I think it's more a problem of token misalignment when speculation doesn't allocate efficiently. So I think let's lean into speculation as a driving force and just focus on aligning more with your early community members and making that a more seamless transition.
Yeah, just like as somebody said, people see the green candles, they go all in. I think, for the majority of people who've got a bit of an interest in crypto and everything sort of in the back of their head, they're kind of waiting for something to happen so they can all go buck mad again and try and make a few shillings, But ultimately, how we can counteract that and how we prepare for that is just to make sure we have a good product, and a good, I won't say a safe space, but have a place where people can engage and be happy and feel part of a community, And I think once somebody, like I remember I first got into the space because I tried to get into crypto. It wasn't really feeling it, but the GameFi aspect did, and I got into a game, and here we are 2.5 years later, and I'm now high up in a new project, and it's because I was engaged. I felt that there was something that could be built, and you will get people who will stick around if your vibe is good and your product is good, and your ambitions and your vision is good. And that will align with their sort of idea that this is a good place to spend their time in, and hopefully as well they'll make a few shillings extras, which will keep them happy as well.
No, I love that. That was great insight. So I think we'll end it there. Thanks everybody for participating. I think the quote of the day goes to Tropic Vibes for sure. I am managing the bread aisle. I think I'll be quoting that out on my Twitter, so I'll be sure to tag you in at Tropic Vibes. So
if you ain't first, you're last. Manage that bread.
Yep, totally. Love it. But yeah, thanks for everybody who participated. If you really look at what the Spaces is all about, I mean, we've definitely accomplished cross-chain, multiple projects coming together to collaborate on a marketing effort, and each and every one of you guys have made it a successful AMA today, and a great episode for X Talks. So definitely thank you for participating. And I'm a huge fan of just curiosity and asking questions and being curious about other projects, because you never know who you bump into that's going to take your project or even you to the next level in terms of your knowledge of crypto and where to take things. So with that, another big thank you for our panelists for their participation. Also, if you found today's episode insightful, please give us a like and a retweet of this AMA space so that we can get it out to the masses. I definitely think it was a great topic and a great discussion, and we'd appreciate your support on that. Until next time, my fellow experts, keep pushing those boundaries and to innovate and unite all of crypto. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank
Great
you.
space.
Cool everyone.
Thanks, everyone.